My name's Erica.
And I'm Giancarlo.
And today we're doing a review of...
Bright Future. See this title here?
Yep.
It's painful childhood memories of what they promised me. After the nukes dropped, what was left of mankind was forced to live underground in tunnel systems to shelter themselves from the radioactive fallout. Some couldn't escape it, and they changed, turned mutant. With scarce resources and a disease threatening to annihilate what is left of the populace, some realized the urgent need to cooperate to seek out the individuals who can eradicate the disease before it's too late. But the unexplored tunnels are brimming with danger around every corner. Brave these, remove all the codes from the board, and you'll win. For this review, we'll use the co-op mode called Tunnel Fever. Place the double-sided board this side up, and place the infection token on 12 on the population track. Place the code tokens face down in a pile and reveal 4 face up here. Shuffle the settlement cards, this lantern icon here, and reveal 4 in their space, placing the deck nearby. Shuffle the Outpost card, the burning oil barrel icon, and the Anomaly, radioactive icon, and make separate decks for them. Shuffle the map cards and create a deck. Give each player 30 resources worth of tokens, placing the rest in a pool. Next to this, place the quest tokens. Place the tunnel cards nearby and determine the first player. Take the item cards, reveal 6 here to create the market, and deal 6 to each player and form a deck with the rest. In turn order with the first player, each will choose a character to play, human or mutant. For flavor, they may choose any gender by flipping the card. This has no in-game changes. What will help to facilitate your choice is the item cards you drew. Human items, blue with this icon, can only be used by humans. Likewise, mutant ones, in green with this icon, can only be used by mutants. When all players chose their characters, they may equip some items. To do so, they must pay in resources the cost listed here and place them in front of them equipped. Careful though, as resources also count as your life point in this game, so use them wisely. Then players, in turn order, will place their character tokens on one of the starting spots here. You're now ready to play.
At the beginning of a new round, deal 2 tunnel cards to each player and they'll choose one discarding the other. Each player in turn order will now perform their turn, which consists of 3 phases: tunnel phase, map phase, and infection phase. Tunnel phase is where you'll play the tunnel card you chose. Simply follow the yellow text here. Then we'll move on to the map phase, shown as the footstep icon on the tunnel card. The map phase is where your character will move and explore in the tunnels. For the first turn, the only thing you can do is draw a map card and place it in this way in front of your character. Now you can follow the tunnels to a location. When you enter it, you must play it. Outposts and Anomalies are kind of similar. When you land on one of these, you'll draw a card from the appropriate deck and resolve the encounter. Anomalies are always hostile, outposts will depend. If the encounter is with someone of the same race, you can hire them by paying the cost and resources listed here, and add them to your play area. If it's of the opposite race, it'll be hostile, and combat will ensue. We'll get to this soon. If it's a settlement, it'll give you a number corresponding to that settlement, meaning you'll visit it. The left part is a reward you'll take, usually resources. The right part is optional things you can do, like buy items or exchange quest tokens for a reward. When any of the encounters are done, the cards are discarded, including settlements. Then you may decide to move onto a new location, but these will only activate once per turn. You can do all locations on a map card you started on, and explore another map card via tunnel, and do all locations there. So in effect, you can do a total of 2 map cards per turn. Finally, the shaft icon lets you travel to another shaft for 2 resources. Let's talk about combat.
When you reveal a hostile encounter, combat will take place. First thing you look at is its total power found here. Then you look at the attack types. Basically, these tell you which attack are better against it. Using your weapons, the items equipped with this icon, you can use one same type attribute against it and lower its power to the number listed here. You can't stack these though, only 1 per attribute. When used, turn the card sideways. You can't use it any longer this turn. Now do the same process for the defense type using your armor equipment. If you manage to lower the encounter's power to 0, you take no damage. Any unprevented points will have you lose that many resources. If you still have at least 1 resource, you've won the encounter. Anomalies will grant you a code token, and outposts will grant you an item drawn from the top of the item deck. If you lost all your remaining resources, you're knocked out. Your current turn ends and the population counter decreases by 1. If ever this reaches 0, you've all lost the game. If successful, you can continue your turn exploring new locations. When done, we move on to the infection phase.
To do so, simply look at the last section of the tunnel card you chose, written in orange, and do its effect. The 3 different types are Contamination, Outbreak, and Mutation. These will have you add code tokens randomly from the pool on the board in different ways depending on which triggers. Contamination will make you add a code on the slot with the fewest code tokens. Outbreak will have you play 1 on the biggest value, and Mutation will have you play 1 on the lowest value. If ever you can't draw any code tokens, you lose 1 population. Luckily, you can enlist the aid of your hired help here. Depending on what icons they have here, allies can stall the spread of the disease by either quarantine, warning, hunting, or destroying it. Quarantine and warn work the same way but for different infection triggers. They let you remove a newly added code if you have the same valued one in your possession. Hunt lets you kill carriers if you know the symptoms, meaning you should have the same code value token as one of the visible codes. You can remove 1 and decrease 1 population for each. Allies can only use 1 of their abilities, even if they have multiple listed, but you do choose which you want to use. Regardless, when allies use these abilities or any other listed on their card, they are discarded.
Let's talk about other ways of removing codes. Back at the settlements, you can find a local medic in the ones numbered 1 to 3. You can give resources and they'll remove a code token from the board. If at settlement number 1, you can give 3 resources for each visible value 1 token you want removed. Settlement 2 will have you give 6 resources for each visible value 2 tokens you want removed, and settlement number 3 will have you give 9 resource tokens for each visible value 3 tokens removed. Now, settlement number 4 will have you seek the microbiologist instead. To use him, you'll need to have all the matching visible code tokens in your possession and the same quantity or more. If you do, you can discard these, choose any of the code piles, flip the top one over, and discard the ones underneath. This space is now forever sealed and codes can no longer go there. Remember, the way to win is by removing all the codes on the board, either through the allies' abilities, medics, or microbiologists, then you'll win.
When all players have done their turn, we move to the end round. Here, total up the visible code token values on the board and divide by 3. You lose that many population rounded down. If you still have a population to save, a new round begins. Reshuffle the tunnel cards including the ones played last turn and deal 2 to each player. Again, starting with the first player, play continues until all disease has been wiped by removing the codes, making you win the game. Or all your population is dead, and you all lose.
A Bright Future is actually a very good game. Problem is, understanding the rulebook is a monumental challenge. It has single-handedly, by far, won the award for the worst rulebook ever written for a game we reviewed. And because of that, the learning curve is absolutely dreadful. Which again is unfortunate because, as we said, it's actually a good game. There is also a different mode of play where players compete against one another called Tunnel Power, where you simply switch the board and follow different rules for setup, and the many different characters will probably add to replay value. But really, we've wasted too much time deciphering the codes of the first game to try and attempt the other mode. And by deciphering the codes, we don't mean the in-game disease codes, but the rulebook. Worst part is they gave us a newer version of the rules, and it's still bad. To be fair, you can tell English is not their first language, but something needs to be done for this game to be well received in the States. As such, it's not only the rulebook that suffers, but the card text and abilities. Example is hand size when they mean cards in hand and in play, use the term lengthwise when they mean vertical, and when they say discard the code tokens, well, they never mention that it returns to the code token pool. Alright, enough with the lost in translation rant. We painfully figured out how to play, so let's talk about the pros. The theme itself and presentation of it is really well done. It's original, artwork fit extremely well, and the components are fine with nice big cards and tokens which are double-sided to represent resource and health. The game has good intuition for short-term tactics and long-term strategy as the visible codes keep changing. The luck aspect is also really well balanced with the random tokens being drawn and which encounters the players will face. Couple that with the press your luck aspect of continuing your turn or not, depending on the items you have left to use, is a really nice way of mitigating the randomness. Game can be quite long with some downtime between players though, but unfortunately again, this might be due to us struggling with the rulebook and every player turn. Benefit of the doubt would only have us give half point penalty in this department. Bright Future, the Tunnel Fever scenario, is the brainchild of Pandemic meets Metro 2033, the video game, and it should have received a higher score than we're about to give, but really there's no escaping the hardships you'll have with the rulebook and gameplay. As such, it gets a 6.5 out of 10.